Bada bing, bada boom. Bada bing, bada boom. Bada bing, bada boom. Bada bing, bada boom. Bada bing, bada boom, ladies and gentlemen. Bada bing, bada boom. Bada bing, bada boom. Oh, shoot. I need to look at my Discord. Bada bing, bada boom. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? We got a lot to talk about today. What's going on, though? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Got a lot to talk about today. Got a lot of NBA stuff to talk about today. Got a lot of MMA stuff to talk about today. But a lot of World Cup stuff went on today. I do not have my TV ready for Erling Haaland. I do not have my TV ready for Erling Haaland himself. How we doing, though? How we doing? Oh, Lord. I'm getting Twitter DMs and all everything. Good Lord, I'm like one eye's on my Discord, the other eye's on the Twitter. How are we doing, though? How we doing? Today was a pretty good day of training. Today was the first day back. We talked about that last night. Today was the first day back. We're going to be in training. Yeah, I did get my ass kicked today, ladies and gentlemen. Did some ass kicking my own, but also had my ass kicked today. I threw the fuck up today. After 1 mile of sprinting, 1 mile of running. I hadn't really done a whole lot of running the last month, but 1 mile of straight running. Yeah, I threw the fuck up. Welcome. All right, good. Nobody scored, right? We're gonna be looking at Iraq and Norway at the same time as we're going through the NBA offseason and draft predictions. We're gonna be going through these at the same time. Also at the same time, man. I did a stream. It was a long time ago at this point. I did a stream a long time ago, and I did a dog review, right? I did a dog review, and unfortunately, my dog review got taken down by YouTube. The YouTube just like cut the clip of me showing off the dog. Damn, Erling Haaland defending his life out right now. Sunny Bun, you've never done this with me. Oh Lord, wait. Okay, yeah, we're good. Sunny Bun, you were not doing this shit for Man City. Am I gonna go non-glasses this stream? You want? We'll go non-glasses this stream. Right. I'm feeding my turtle. I forgot to do so today. We talking about the dog review, right? Which I'll probably do it again later, right? This isn't the stream for that. Oh, my man's ain't. I was gonna do a turtle review, but my man's is asleep though. I got a turtle. That's my only pet. I got a turtle. We'll do the review another day. Norway's in the box right now. Is that a corner? Ooh. A Norway corner. Okay. Got a Norway corner going on. All right, let's all right, shit. I mean, let's look at this off season. Let's look at this NBA off season, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gents. let's look at this NBA offseason. We're gonna start with the better teams first, right? Like the champions, right? We're gonna start with those teams first because they don't necessarily have anything, or they don't have a lot to do, right? So I guess we'll just start with the Knicks, right? So the Knicks going into this offseason, right? Their pick is pretty putrid, right? They have a putrid pick. I don't think they're really gonna do anything much. I don't think they're gonna do much more in the NBA draft, but yeah, putrid pick for the Knicks. And I mean, it's a pretty simple offseason for the Knicks, right? They have one major piece that's going in free agency, and it's not like he's like Mitchell Robinson. That's the guy, right? And so the thing is with the Knicks, right? They have a whole lot of money tied into a lot of big name players, right? A whole lot of money amongst those big time players. So there's not a whole lot of moolah left for Mitch. Not a whole lot of moolah left for Mitch. However, a guy like that will probably take a pay cut, though. He's probably going to take a pay cut. However, other than him taking a pay cut, the Knicks are probably going to need to restructure a couple of deals, right? And the thing is, they need to restructure a couple of deals because it's coming. It's coming. Ladies and gents, it's coming. It's coming, right? It's coming. It's coming, right? It's coming for a lot of these teams, right? We saw what happened to the Celtics last offseason, right? We'll get into the Celtics now, but yeah, that second apron's coming, folks. That second apron's coming. It's gonna kick a lot of teams in the asshole. That second apron's gonna kick a lot of teams in the asshole. We saw how bad it. Like, where's the belt? Where's the belt? Right? I don't got a belt. Yeah, no belt. No belt. No belt prop. No belt prop. Yeah, no belt prop. No belt prop. Hold up. Hold up, though. Hold up. That's how Shaquille would say it. No, okay. Fuck! I ruined the hair. On the belt this time? No, but basically that second apron's coming. The second apron is coming, folks. It's coming. It's gonna whoop a lot of teams in the ass, right? You look at teams like the Knicks, right? Teams like the Knicks. In the future, in the very rare future, right? Toronto, right, is gonna have to destroy their core group of guys, right? Same thing with Orlando, right? Orlando, however, has kind of been doing a lot better at maneuvering. But at the same time, Orlando is not really getting a whole lot much better at the same time. So, free kick for Norway, no good. I'm really only looking at the Eastern Conference, right? As you look at the West, right? None of those motherfuckers are ready. Like, not a lot of those motherfuckers are ready, and if they are ready, their team isn't good, right? Orlando has kind of been one of the better teams that's been managing the apron a lot better, right? But yeah, like in the future, right? Detroit has a lot more problems besides the second apron, right? Which yeah, we're looking at Boston though. Boston. Let's pump the brakes. We're talking about Boston now. All right. Boston has a pretty interesting off season ahead of them, right? Because it's mainly one guy that they have to deal with. There's one big question mark about Boston, right? what are they going to do with Jaylen Brown, right? Are they going to keep Jaylen Brown, right? They're going to keep Jaylen Brown. Or are they going to move him like they've been saying like they are going to move him? Right? Are they going to move him, right? There's a lot of speculation is that because they have a piece like Jaylen Brown, right? Which say what you want about Jaylen Brown, right? He says dumb shit on his streams, right? We all do, right? We all do, right? He says dumb shit on his streams, right? He says some shit that he shouldn't be saying, right? Sore loser, right? Doesn't have a left hand, right? All those things can be applied for inconsistent shooter, right? All those things can be applied for Jaylen Brown. Say what you want about him. He's a very good player, right? He is a, dare I say, number one option. Dare I say a number one option, if any, but at the same time, Michael Porter Jr. is a number one option in the NBA right now. So, yikes. But I'd rather have Jaylen Brown as the number one option than MPJ, even though they're about the same headache that you deal with, right? With Michael Porter Jr. and Jaylen Brown. They're both kind of the same headache. I do think it'd be a lot easier to build a team around Jaylen Brown than it would be to build a team around MPJ. So when you look at a team like the Bucks, right, who's been trying to offer up Giannis to see what's the best return that they can get. You look at a team like Boston, and you just like, how would he not be able to? How would he not just fit into what Boston's doing right now? And if you look at it from a logistics standpoint, right? You look at it logistics, right? Giannis and Tatum playing off of each other. It just seems like it would be a better deal than having Jaylen Brown and Tatum ISO, right? Whoever's hitting, whoever's not hitting, right? They both have a little bit of a wiggle, right? They drive, kick, right? If they're not driving and kicking, right, it's right. Or Tatum's little. Like you ever see like them you ever look at those videos of like China basketball, right? China basketball, and they have like this they have like the halftime shows, like the robot. They have a robot shooting a half court shot. That's the type of shit that be going on in like Chinese in the Chinese basketball league, right? That's how Jason Tatum shoot the basketball. That is exactly bar for bar exactly how Jason Tatum shoot a basketball. He shoot it like a robot, like real stiff. But JT's a good shooter though. Tatum's a good shooter. Tatum is a good shooter. So I mean, it works. Yeah. Biggest question mark: what's gonna happen with Jaylen Brown? Obviously, for the Celtics, if they can make a play for Giannis, right? If they can make a play for Giannis, they have the draft resources for him. Right? They have the draft resources for him. They have the player in the contract to match up with him. And Erling Haaland in the 28th minute, Erling Haaland, best striker in the world currently, gets in for Norway on a beautiful looking tap in. Oh, hell nah. They got the Norway kids hitting 6-7s. Hell nah. What? It's a dope goal. The first goal for Erling Haaland's World Cup career. Beautiful textbook tap in. 1-0. Norway is currently up on Iraq. 1-0. Damn, that's a tough draw for Iraq. I'm not gonna lie. Norway, France, Senegal. That's a tough ass draw for Iraq. Fah. Tough draw for Iraq, and that's because I think they're actually a pretty decent AFC team too. No, I'm pretty sure they're a pretty decent team in the Asian region. No, I'm want to say they are pretty decent in that region. What the fuck? Oh, mistake made from. Hold on now. Both teams is playing messy as fuck right now. Oh, okay. Nice clearance from Norway. Good defense from Norway. Yeah, they made a costly mistake. Oh shit! 1-on-1 for Holland. Nah, Holland gave it up to his teammate. Gave it up to a winger. Winger didn't know what the fuck to do with it. Holland should have just kicked. Yeah, he should have just scored. He should have just scored. Holland doing too much. Yeah, big question for Boston. What are they going to do with Tatum? They don't have They don't have that attractive of a pick. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Hold on. You know what? I'm gonna look at the draft order. I'm gonna have the draft order on another window. I'm gonna have draft order on another window so I can see what picks we're working with. I forgot. Yeah, the Knicks. Yeah, the Knicks have a shit pick. Yeah, Knicks don't have have a shitty low pick. Same thing with the Celtics, right? Going on with another team in the Eastern Conference, right? We're going with the Detroit Pistons, right? So the Detroit Pistons actually have a pretty interesting offseason, right? Because we've seen the Pistons in a lot of trade talks, right? And we've seen the Pistons in a lot of trade talks with Ron Holland, right? And I don't understand what the goal is on what the goal is with their trade package. I don't know what they're trying to get. It's a trade package essentially built around Ron Holland. I don't know what. It seems like everybody on the team is available for sale besides Cade, Sir, and Duran. Oh, and I think Jenkins is going to be pretty safe too going into this next season. I think Jenkins might be safe. He was pretty solid in the playoffs. Also, Dennis Jenkins, very solid player. But unfortunately, if they are going to trade away Ron Holland, it ruins a defensive identity that they have, right? Or it lessens the defensive identity that they have, right? Because it's a very quality team of defenders, a very quality team of defenders. You have Sir, you have Duran, right? Cade's a competent defender. Jenkins is a competent defender. And then yeah, just having those two monsters, Sir and Ron Holland, instantly a moneymaker for the Pistons. I like what the Pistons are doing with their team building, but I don't like the idea of trading Ron Holland. I honestly don't. Unfortunately, in my opinion, what I'm like looking at Norway's attacking a whole lot. Norway is attacking a whole lot against Iraq today. But I do find the Pistons have great offensive identity. What they do need, I understand what they do need. They do need more of a scoring wing, right? But more importantly, what they do need, cap space. I think the Pistons need more cap space ultimately. The Pistons might need just more cap space to work with. Because they just signed Jalen Duren to that big money deal, right? And I think the whole world could tell you that the Pistons' problems are probably going to start with Jalen Duren and that big ass contract, right? But that's not something that they can necessarily deal with this offseason because they just paid him this offseason. So it can't that contract, they don't know it yet. They unfortunately don't know it yet, but it did set him back. It sets him back a few years. It kind of does. I don't know. I don't know how good the Pistons can be in the playoffs with a center like Jalen Duren. I don't know, or at least with as much pressure that they have on Jalen Duren as like an offensive player. Because defensively he's sound. He's sound, very quality defender, all defense type of player. But what he makes up for in defense, he lacks immensely in the offense. He lacks very, very much in the offensive categories. So ultimately, they're gonna need to get another scorer, right? That's not Tobias Harris, right? Or at least they're gonna need to get a better score than Tobias Harris, right? Tobias Harris might be where you need to cut bait, but how would you be able to cut bait with Tobias Harris while upgrading in a position like his? That is the question for the Pistons that their front office is going to need to answer this offseason. But in the long term, that Jalen Duren contract is horrendous. That Jalen Duren contract is abysmal, right? We went through the top three teams of the East, right? We're going to go to the fourth team, right, with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Talk about a team that's going to get the ass kicked by that second apron. The Cleveland Cavaliers are like a year or two away from like just total like they might need to tear that shit down in about 2 years. They might need to tear all that shit down in 2 years. They're either going to need to tear all that shit down or they're going to need to get rid of Jared Allen. And unfortunately, if you get rid of Jared Allen, you might as well tear it all down if you get rid of Jared Allen. Because a lot of what that team is built off of, yeah, they have Donovan Mitchell to score the points, right? Yeah, they have James Harden, who's its own issue, right? I don't even want to get into the James Harden mugshot, right? And the offseason that James Harden's been having. But yeah, James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen, right? Somebody's going to need to go and Iraq with an equalizer? Okay. Equalizer for Iraq. Okay. Nice little equalizer. 1-up Iraq and Norway. Iraq equalizes the game. Oh, that motherfucker took his shirt off. Motherfucker took his shirt off and was like, "D's with it." He like D's with it. So, yeah, what exactly is Cleveland going to need to end up doing? Well, so Cleveland's going to need to end up if it wasn't obvious, right, they're gonna need to end up moving on from James Harden, right? Too much money, right? Not gonna. He's too much money. It's not gonna get you where you want to be with James Harden, and there's only so much. There's only so much time you're gonna have with Donovan Mitchell. That's another awkward part too. There's only so much time that Cleveland will have with Donovan Mitchell. There's only so much time. We look at the draft this year. Second to last pick, not looking good for Cleveland in the terms of retooling in the draft. So there's that going for them. And then on top of that as well, damn, remember when San Antonio? Remember everybody's freaking out about San Antonio having Atlanta's pick? How things change. Rough offseason going. Rough next couple of off seasons for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Unable. They're gonna be part of those teams where they're not that good to do anything in the playoffs, but they're too good to not make the playoffs, if that makes sense. But however, with these new anti-tanking rules, it's gonna favor teams like Cleveland going forward, right? Who right now they're in a decent position, but like in 2 years from now, they're gonna be in like a limbo position, like what Miami's in right now, right? Like Miami don't know whether they want to suck or they want to be good, right? You got to pick one, right? You got to pick one in the league, right? You got to know whether you're going to be good or bad. That's been the name of the game. That's been the name of the game with the NBA the last couple of years. It's been the name of the game with sports the last couple of years, right? You got to figure out whether you're good or bad, right? And Cleveland wants to be good, but unfortunately, financially, it's just not going to work out like that. It's not going to work out like that. Moving on to the Toronto Raptors. The Toronto Raptors is a team I really like. I really like the Toronto Raptors team as a makeup, right? Unfortunately, they did lose their GM to your boy right here. Your boy took y'all's little GM, right? Your boy took y'all's Picasso, right? Right? I like the team that Masai built in Toronto, right? They have a decent draft pick, right? They can get a decent player, right? Unfortunately, what they're gonna need is another guard. Hold the fuck up. Norway is back ahead 2-1. Norway is back ahead 2-1. An absolute nightmare of a turnover. No. Nice hustle from Erling Haaland. Haaland has a brace already. Best striker in the world has a brace. Fuck, that dude's gonna get the goal. That dude really might get the golden boot. Fuck. Bro, we're thinking Balogun's getting that shit, man, but fuck. I didn't think Haaland was gonna have opportunities like this. I didn't think he was gonna have opportunities like this. This asshole might really score a hat trick in his first appearance. This dude really might score a hat trick in his first appearance. Yeah, so the Raptors have a pretty decent pick, right? They're gonna need to get a guard or a combo guard, right? And If you look at the makeup, right, a whole lot of guards, right, a whole lot of piss off, mate. Yeah, a whole lot of guards that they're going to be needing, right? We can see that. Let's see. Now I'm kind of like diving deep into this. Let's see. Oh yeah, I like Malik Thomas out of Arkansas. I like Malik Thomas out of Arkansas for the Raps. I think he'd be a pretty good NBA ready guard for them right now, right? Be a pretty good part. He plays both the 1 and the 2, right? So he can play off of quickly, right? He can play off of quickly. And that's a position that they've been looking at because they've kind of just been like monstering it, right? They have Poodles. Their starting lineup is Poodles. It's Poodles, Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett quickly. Mate, I'm drawing a blank now. I'm drawing a blank for the Raptors. But a guard would help out. Regardless, a guard would very much help out the Toronto Raptors. I like Malik Thomas. Going to the Raptors, right? But yeah, ultimately we'll see, right? Malik Thomas is more or less going to be in the that 20 to 19 range, right? Yeah. We'll see about that. Moving on with the Raptors, right? We have the Atlanta Hawks, right? The Atlanta Hawks, man. Boy, the Atlanta Hawks were up 2-1 against the NBA champs, right? That's fucking crazy. Ain't nobody was up 2-1 on the Knicks this playoff run, right? Ain't nobody was up 2-1 against the Knicks this playoff run, but your boy CJ McCollum and the Atlanta Hawks were, right? Which gets into the first thing I want to mention, right? CJ McCollum being your guy, right? Or your guy as a guard, right? Newsflash, that's not gonna work, right? That's not gonna work. I like Jalen Johnson. As the 1, right? I do like Jalen Johnson as the number 1 option, right? Very good quick. Pussy ass burp. Oh shit. Oh, Iraq winger looking for a handball. Oh no, unfortunately that's I don't no, that's not a handball. That is not a handball, unfortunately. That was just very good defending. It hit off off of a off of the knee of a Norway defender. Very quality. What's fucking hilarious though? What's fucking hilarious about soccer is that like they have VAR, right? They have VAR. They can look at make sure to see if they get the call right and everything right. And then they'll tell the player what the camera saw, and they'll still argue it. Right? Like we're watching baseball, or we're doing a baseball stream last night, and like they just added ABS, right? And ABS, like if you lose an ABS challenge, the fuck? If you lose an ABS challenge, that's it. Right? You're done. And then the batter doesn't argue it. The batter nor the pitcher argues it. I feel like this is the only sport where they have cameras. They'll review it in the camera, and they'll still argue it. They'll still, oh, I guess basketball's like that too. Oh, speaking of the devil, right? Um, yeah. What Atlanta needs to do this offseason, fellas, we need to get a guard. We need to get a guard. We need to get a guard, fellas. We need to get a guard, right? And fortunately for Atlanta, they're in a great position to get a guard. A great position to get a guard. I like the two picks that Atlanta has, right? They have a top 10 pick, right? So they can get a guard, right? They can get a guard, and a really good guard. Oh, that was very close to an Iraq equalizer. So close to an Iraq equalizer. So close to an Iraq equalizer. Damn, that's heartbreaking. Yeah, I like exactly where the Hawks are picking, right? They get top 8, right? They can get a good guard, right? They can get the cream of the crop, right? It could be Braden Burries, right? It could be Mikael Brown, right? I like those two. I like those two specifically for the Hawks. Oh, I thought that was the goal of the. I thought that was the goal of the tournament right there. I thought that was the goal of the tournament for a second. I swear I thought Iraq just hit the goal of the tournament for the second. We'll get to Mbappe in a second. As Iraq and Norway going into halftime, 2-1. Norway is up on Iraq. 2-1. Norway is up on Iraq. I think we'll be streaming until the conclusion of this game. I think that's the schedule we're going to be running. I think it's going to be in the conclusion of this particular game, right? I think it's going to be the conclusion of this particular game. So I like one of those two. I like one of those two for the Atlanta Hawks, and I also do like them with their later in the first round. I do like them picking up I like them picking up a center. I like them picking up a center, right? I like them picking up probably we can go with I'm looking at a big board too. Zuby's not that big of a I like either the center from Washington. Yeah, I'm liking the center from either Washington or North Carolina, right? I don't know how comfortable they feel about Koa Pete, right? I don't know how comfortable they feel about Koa Pete. Ultimately, if Kareem Lopez is available at 23, if Kareem Lopez is available at 23, I've been seeing him go a lot earlier, right? But if he's available at 23, right, that's like a home run pick that's almost a home run pick for Atlanta, getting Kareem Lopez and a very high level guard. So I mean, Atlanta's in a pretty decent position for the right now. They're in a decent position for the right now. If they're able to move on from CJ McCollum, right? Maybe that's the deadline or whatever, right? If they're able to move on from CJ, I know Atlanta loves CJ right now after what he did in the playoffs. But if they're able to move on from him, pick up a guard in the draft, right? Also pick up a center too, right? One of the ones I named, right? I think Atlanta's going to be looking pretty scary. Until they have to start dealing with contracts past the rookie deals. But a very good group of guys, a very good group of players, right? Nikhil, Dyson Daniels, CJ McCollum, right? We talked about Jalen Johnson as the number one option, right? Very good number one option, right? I do think he can be a number one option in this league. And Kuminga, right? Kuminga, very, 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 very good situation for Jonathan Kuminga to excel in. But yeah, ultimately we'll see what happens for Atlanta, right? Going on to the 76ers, right? The 76ers. Good lord. Yeah, motherfuckers have a pick or some shit. I don't think y'all have a good pick. Y'all don't really have that. Y'all's pick really isn't all that. Y'all's pick really isn't all that. Anyway, yeah, so the Sixers, right? A lot of guards, right? A lot of guards, right? Edge come, right? Edge come. I thought I said Maxi first, so then I just said Edge come twice, like I said. That was weird. Now Edge come, Maxi, right? They still got Joel, right? You know, yeah. Is this the offseason where they start to look to move Joel, right? We've been hearing rumors about that. But I wonder if this is the offseason where they start to look at moving Joel, right? If they move on from Joel, right? They're one pick ahead of Atlanta, right? Kareem Lopez is there with the pick, right? Snag him up, right? No brainer. If he's not available, I like a wing. I like a wing player, right? I like a wing player for the Sixers, right? Like if a Cole Pete is available, right? Get a Cole Pete if he's available. Nate Ament. I don't think Nate Ament's gonna be there, right? But then get a Nate Ament, right? I like Nate Ament for that team as well. Yeah, Nate Ament, Cole Pete, and Swain, right? Swain from Texas. I like those three players for the Sixers going forward, right? Yeah, the main thing for the Sixers this offseason is what are they going to do with Joel, right? Do they move on from Joel, right? Or they keep him for another year or two and eventually let him walk, or get rid of him at a later date, right? Because they still made the playoffs this year. They still made the playoffs, right? They made the second round too. So, I mean, who knows? Who knows? Maybe if they do draft like a Nate Ament, they get lucky, draft a Nate Ament, right? Team gets a little bit better, right? Who knows where they could be next year? Especially in the East. Right? Yeah. Yeah, especially in that Eastern Conference. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens in the East next year, right? That East is gonna look very, very interesting next year. Very interesting next year. There's a lot of moving parts in this Eastern Conference, like the Hawks and like Atlanta, right? Like Atlanta, like Toronto, like the next team we're gonna get into, the Magic, right? Orlando Magic. The Orlando Magic. Right, so the Orlando Magic, right? The Orlando Magic basically sold their souls last offseason for Desmond Bain. They sold their souls for Desmond Bain. Didn't work out for them. I don't think this is the right time. I don't think this is the right time to give a answer to that question, right? Basically because everybody was injured this year for Orlando, but I don't think that's the right. I don't think it's the right time if that was a good decision or not. They almost upset the 1 seed too, right? We called it. We were expecting Orlando to upset, right? We made that prediction in the channel, right, when we were making the playoff predictions. We did make that prediction, but unfortunately Orlando wasn't able to get it done in that game 7, and yeah, it puts them in a very tough position because they can't do shit. They can't really do shit for the next couple of off seasons, and yeah, sooner or later, I'm thinking it's gonna be not the off season, but in the regular season towards the trade deadline, they're gonna have to make a decision on whether or not they're going to keep Anthony Black or they're going to keep Jalen Suggs, right? Because Anthony Black's contract's coming up. That contract coming up, buddy. It's coming up. It's coming up, right? Are you going to keep the 6'7" point guard, right? You're going to keep the 6'7". You're going to keep the 6'7" point guard, right? Or you're going to pick the two-way player, right? The two-way player who is about 6'3". We'll see. But ultimately, that's not a decision for them to make this offseason. It's more so a decision that they would probably want to see going into the regular season, because what if the Desmond Bane trade actually worked? What if it actually worked, right? With the team actually healthy, right? And they can see how it all looks, how everything looks for them, right? What if it works out? What if it works out, right? So I think Orlando ultimately needs to see that answer to that question before they make a decision on Anthony Black or Jalen Suggs, right? It's not going to work out. I mean, we don't know that. That's probably the concession. That's probably the consensus. That's probably what everybody thinks, that it's not going to work out, right? But I mean, we don't know. We don't know yet. We really don't know yet with the Magic. Because they very well could be a playoff team next year, right? They very well could be a playoff team next year, but there's going to be a lot of good teams next year, right? Like the next team we're going to get into, right? The Charlotte Hornets, right? The Charlotte Hornets. Let's look at their picks. Charlotte Hornets, look at their picks, right? Charlotte Hornets got some pretty decent picks. They got some pretty decent picks, right? Where's my hold on, chat. I had a oh, there it is. I don't know. Electrolytes, fool. Drink. Drink your electrolytes. Hold on. Drink your electrolyte. Fool. Drink your electrolytes. In my Nate Diaz voice. Whoa, my forehead was looking massive right there. My forehead was looking massive right there, and I don't even got a big forehead. Hell no. Oh, Lord, my forehead be looking big for no reason. Yeah, so Charlotte has some pretty good picks, right? There's one thing about Charlotte, right? One thing about Charlotte is that Kobe White's gone, right? Kobe White's going to be gone. All right. I highly doubt Kobe Bryant's going to stick around. Good Lord. I highly doubt Kobe Bryant's going to be sticking around going forth for the Hornets, right? So, with that being said, right, Kobe Bryant's not going to stick around for too long, but boy, did Charlotte learn something this year? Or what, right? And what did Charlotte learn? They need a point guard. Right? And not that they need to get rid of LaMelo Ball, right? As a matter of fact, should probably keep LaMelo. If anything, they should probably keep LaMelo. If they could possibly get him to sign for less money, or maybe not him, but like maybe in another area, right? Maybe Brandon Miller's contract or contract that's going to be coming up, right? Maybe he doesn't sign for as much money as Brandon Miller could possibly make, right? Maybe Brandon Miller takes a little bit of a pay cut, right? Charlotte's in a very, very, very good position. They're in a very good position, right? They have a very good core group of guys, right? And they learned that if they can get a point guard, besides LaMelo Ball, right? If they can move comfortably, move LaMelo to the 2 and have a point guard, cooking, right? They would be cooking on egregious levels. They would be cooking on, they would be cooking. They would be cooking. Now the problem with that, though, is that they have pick 14 and 18, right? So picks 14 and 18, right? The problem with that is you're not going to be able to get a very, very high level point guard, right? Because there's a lot of high level point guards in this draft. You're probably not going to be getting one of those, right? If you're able to luck out, and you're able to get LeBaron Philon, if LeBaron Philon is able to fall to 14, if he's able to fall to 14, you take that motherfucker like this. No time to make the pick. If LeBaron Philon is still on the table and you're Charlotte, you take them like these. Right? Or if you're able to if you're able to convince a team ahead of you to trade down, you take LeBaron Philon. Right? There's another point guard in this draft that would be around this area. Would be Okori out of Stanford. Pretty decent freshman season out of Okori, but I'm really high on LeBaron Philon. I think Philon's going to be a pretty decent player in this league. That's just my opinion. I do think he's going to be a pretty decent player in this league, especially as a point guard. And I do think he would play alongside LaMelo Ball kind of nicely. I do think it would work out kind of nicely, if I do say so myself, right? If they're able to luck out into a point guard, that's perfect. And you want to know why? Because at that 18th pick, you're more than likely going to be able to get a center. At that 18th pick for Charlotte. If you get Philon and a center in the draft, you won. You might be a problem going forward. You might actually be a problem in the East. Charlotte has a pretty simple offseason. Very simple offseason because they're gonna lose Kobe White. It is what it is. They're gonna lose Kobe White. They can't afford him, right? Or they're not going to be able to afford Kobe White. If they're able to somehow keep Kobe White, though, that'd be like fucking. If they're able to somehow keep Kobe White, what I would do if you're able to keep him, package your picks together. And move up. And try to snag. Try to snag like a Mara, right? If you're able to keep Kobe White, get your picks together, snag Mara. Go get Mara. Go get a day Mara. And if Charlotte's able to get a day Mara, that's all I gotta say. If Charlotte is somehow able to get a day Mara, all eyes got to say. Moving on to the next team. We got the Miami Heat. We got the Miami Heat, right? Miami has a pretty simple offseason as well, right? Pretty simple offseason, right? Get Giannis, right? Get Giannis. Get Giannis, because right now, or when Giannis trade talks first opened up, it seemed like Miami had the best package, right? It seemed like Miami was like the runaway favorite. Boston's kind of making things interesting now. With the availability of a Jaylen Brown, but other than that, if you're able to get Bam, or if you're able to get Giannis and Bam in the same team, right? That's gonna probably take you pretty far on just that alone. That'll probably take you pretty far, especially in the East. Just that'll probably take you kind of far, decently far. Especially because after that, right after that trade, that would leave their roster with you'd still have Davion Mitchell. You'd still have you wouldn't have Hawkins, right? You wouldn't have Hawkins. You wouldn't have Hero, right? You'd still have Norman Powell also. You would still have Norman Powell, right? You'd still have Khalil Ware. Which actually at that point, honestly, you probably do need to get rid of Khalil Ware. You would probably need to get rid of Khalil Ware, so you can play both Giannis and Bam at the same time. Or unless Giannis moves back to the 3. If Giannis moves back to the 3, fuck. Everybody is fucked. Everybody's going to be fucked. That's going to be a very big lineup. Where think of the defense on that lineup. Think of the fucking defense of that lineup. Fucking Ware, Khalil Ware, Bam Adebayo, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Norman Powell, Davion Mitchell. Who the fuck is scoring against that? Who's scoring against that besides Luka? Nobody. Nobody's scoring against that shit besides Luka and maybe Shea. And funny enough, both of those guys are in the East. I mean, the West. They're in the West. They're in Maverick Town. Yeah. Other than that, they need to secure Giannis, right? In the draft, right? They have 13, right? They have 13. To me, At 13, they're gonna need to get one of the Michigan boys, right? They're gonna need to get one of the Michigan boys, and not a day tomorrow. It's not gonna be a day tomorrow, right? They might need to get one of the Michigan boys because, or actually Sturts. Actually, no, I like Sturts. I like Sturts for that team. Actually, I do like Sturts for that team. I like Sturts for, yeah, actually, no, I like Bennett Sturts actually for the Miami Heat. If they're not able to get Yaxel, I like Bennett Sturts. Why? Because it's ideally a better Duncan Robinson replacement. Ideally, Bennett Sturts seems like a better Duncan Robinson. And Duncan Robinson was able to give them a lot of good minutes when in his time there, and it ultimately left a shooting presence that I don't think they've been able to fulfill since Duncan Robinson has not been with the Heat. So I like Bennett Sturts. Going to Miami, or Yaxel going to Miami. One of those two. Pretty simple offseason. Get Giannis and get one of those two players in the draft. I don't think that puts you in contending this season. But depending on what's able to happen, like the next, or if they do get Giannis, it does put them in contendership. It does instantly put them in contendership. But if they're not able to get Giannis, and if they're only able to get one of those two players, it does put them in a very good position for a future Tyler Hero trade. That's what it does. It still puts them in a very good Tyler Hero position. Tyler Hero trade position. Because at the end of the day, that's more than likely where you need to cut your losses with. You need to cut your losses with Hero at this point. Not that he's a bad player. He's just not an available player, right? Not always injured, right? Constantly injured, right? It is what it is, right? It's just the name of the league. Availability is the best ability in this league. Moving on, we'll be going to the. Actually, you know what? We're gonna go to the West real quick. We're gonna go to the West real quick, and then we're gonna group all of the trash teams together. The non-playoff teams. We're gonna group them all together, right? Starting with OKC. OKC, right? Real easy offseason for OKC, right? They don't need to do shit. They really don't need to do shit, right? They signed the contract that was coming up, right? AJ Mitchell, they signed that already, right? Or they signed Jalen Williams. He was also another contract that was coming up this year, right? They locked both of those guys up for long-term deals, right? So they already thought ahead, right? Sam Presti, you're a fucking genius, right? You're a fucking genius, Sam Presti. If I'm the Thunder, right? Because they still have a lottery pick, right? They still have a lottery pick. Frustrating ass franchise. They still have a very good pick, right? A number 12 pick. What do you do with the number 12 pick? That one, same thing as Miami. They're gonna need to get one of the Michigan boys. However, unlike Miami, though, the Thunder are very loaded at guard. They're very guard heavy. However, the quality in the forward position is what they seem to be lacking more so. They seem to be lacking the quality in the forward positions. And Yaxel would be a dream. For the Thunder. It would be the most disgusting shit I've ever seen. But they could also get Merez Johnson. If they get Merez Johnson, holy shit. Merez Johnson and Lou Dort? Nah, Sonny Bun. And I already tell teams don't want to deal with that shit. Lou Dort and Merez Johnson together? Fuck that. Fuck that. It'd be the Legion of Boom all over again. They'd be the Legion of Boom. They'd be the Legion of Boom, but this is the NBA, not NFL. NBA, not NFL. Y'all see Mikal Bridges' Instagram live where he was talking about Chris Paul and Chris Paul giving him a Brooklyn Nets helmet when he got traded to Brooklyn, and he was like, shit. And like the thought of CP3 giving him the helmet was shit. You're gonna need this over there in the East because they be playing football and shit. Which is ironic because CP3 also played for the Thunder as well, and he played with Lou Dort. And that playoff series that he did, that playoff run he had with Lou Dort, that boy Lou Dort was already on that shit with James Harden. He was already on that shit. He was already on that nut shit with James Harden. Sink that shit, bro. Sink that shit, dog. I sink that shit. See me run. Yeah, if they're able to get one of the Michigan boys, that's pretty easy offseason for the Thunder. They've already re-signed all their guys, so nothing much they need to do. The San Antonio Spurs, right? Okay. Oh my God. Oh my God. The San Antonio Spurs, man. Is there a? I can't think of a more obvious move for the San Antonio Spurs than. I mean, everybody's saying it, right? Everybody's saying it. De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox. Your time has come. Your time has come, De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox is making $50 million. Yeah. That is the most unlike Spurs thing I've ever seen. De'Aaron Fox is making $50 million and taking $50 million from the Spurs cap, right? And the problem with this, right? The problem with this is that the Spurs, the Spurs has already announced that they plan on retaining De'Aaron Fox. No trades whatsoever. Now the problem with that is that it's not like it's a big ass contract and you can't get rid of it, right? Because normally that's for like teams like the Lakers, right? It's like teams like the Lakers who have big ass contracts, but they don't have picks to attach to the contracts, right? So it's like what we're just gonna take on that big ass contract for no reason, right? This is not like that. The Spurs have draft capital. They have a lot of draft capital. So if they wanted to trade De'Aaron Fox, they can very well trade De'Aaron Fox. They very well can trade De'Aaron Fox. I don't know why they're not. I don't know why that's not like a real idea in that front office's head. And it's a talented front office too. Like it's not like they got Nico Harrison in that motherfucker. No, they got it's a talented group in that organization. I'm not saying it's the smartest organization, right? But they know a thing or two about what the fuck they're doing, right? Like there was there's a reason why there was a point in this season, right, where teams have like put it out like league wide, like no, nobody makes trades with the Celtics, Thunder, and Spurs. You know why? Because all three of those teams are looking to fleece the fuck out of you, right? So I don't know. Maybe they know something that we don't, right? Maybe they know something that we don't. Maybe that injury that De'Aaron Fox allegedly had was as bad as people are making it seem like. But I don't know. I don't know. From the outside looking in, it seems like they have a guy in that second unit that can very well take that starting job. And for the 20th pick, that's more or less what they have, right? The 20th pick. Variety of different options you can go with right here. This 20th pick, right? A variety of different options, right? What I like for the Spurs, I like a forward. Right? I do like a forward, right? If they're able to somehow get Nate Ahmed, that would be a dream. That would be a dream for the Spurs if they were able to somehow get Nate Ahmed. It would be a dream. You wouldn't necessarily need him to do the most, right? You just need him like, hey, go play defense and shoot this motherfucker when I give it to you. That's all you need out of Nate. And Nate Ahmed's like he's a drill guy, so that type of shit works for him. Like just play defense, sit in that corner, get ready to shoot that motherfucker, right? Shit like that works for guys like Nate Ahmed, right? Shit like that be working for guys like Nathan Amends, right? For the 20th pick. Fuck. Fuck. It's not a whole lot that's gonna be around for that sport. It's gonna be a whole lot of like guards and like centers, and like the problem with that is I don't think they necessarily need a guard. And if they get a center, they're gonna have to realize like, oh shit, Wemby, right? So I'm never gonna be a starter in this team unless he's hurt. I'm never gonna be a starter. Yeah, they really need to move up and get Nate Ament, honestly. They need to move up and get Nate Ament, or if Nate Ament can somehow like fall, right? That's perfect, right? Or a draft time trade or a draft night trade. If Nate Ament gets drafted earlier, trade up, get that motherfucker from whatever team. Who's ahead of him that might actually need to take Nate Ament? Oh shit. Oh shit. Because I could see the Thunder taking Nate Ament ahead of him. I could see the Thunder taking Nate Ament. I could see really just the Thunder. I can really only see the Thunder taking him. If the Grizzlies are that like, if they're that high on Nate Ament, I could see them going for him also if they're that high on him. But I think the Grizzlies just need to pick best available. If I'm going to be honest, I think they just need to pick whoever's the best available with that 16th pick. Yeah, if Nate Event's still available at past 17, yeah, you win. You win. If not, I would be looking to trade up with OKC, which is kind of a tricky situation because of yeah, it's kind of that would be kind of a tricky situation, right? But nonetheless, right? Those are the moves that I do think that the Spurs should be making this offseason. Next up, we have the Denver Nuggets, right? The Denver Nuggets, right? Oh man, Denver. Okay, they have a little bit of a problem, right? His name's or you can group them together as the backcourt, right? The backcourt is a little bit of an issue for the Denver Nuggets at this point. Because now we're in 2026, going into the 2027 season, right? At this very point, Jamal Murray's contract seems like it's getting worse and worse and worse by the day. I know he just had a career year this past year. But it seems to be getting worse and worse and worse as the days go by. So ideally, if they're able to make a trade out of Murray's contract, right? I don't know how him and Jokic are, right? If they're boys, then shit, then shit. You're gonna need to write this out for. You're gonna need to write this out until the wheels fall off their boys. But if they're not boys, trade his ass. Just trade him. Get it over with. Right? And if not, if you don't feel comfortable moving on from him, you're gonna need to move on from Christian Brown for sure. Right? I know he just got a big payday. Christian Brown's got a big payday, I believe. What was it? It's not this offseason. It was the last offseason, I believe, was Christian Brown's new contract. But I don't know when it kicks in, though. It might be now. Right? They need to rethink that. Backcourt. Denver needs to rethink that entire backcourt. Right? I don't know what pick Denver has. They have the 26th pick. Yeah, they're not doing shit with that. yeah, they're really not going to do shit with that 26 pick. Um, yeah, tough, tough shit, tough cookie, tough tit, very tough tit. Yeah, Denver is just in a very unfortunate position, right? They have Jokic, right? So they're gonna be good, right? But I do think next year, right, they're gonna have a little bit of a less record, right? And then the year following that, they're gonna. I think we're gonna start seeing the downfall of Denver these next couple of years, right? Because they've just tied too many bad contracts together, right? And they tried fixing it. They tried making it all better by trading away NPJ, right, to save a little bit of money, right? But then they started giving them contracts up away, and then once they gave away these new wave of contracts, then that kind of just erased what money that they saved with Mike Porter Jr. Very, very, very tough, very tough, very tough, very tough, very tough. But yeah, yeah. Ultimately, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with Denver and fuck. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. All right. Moving on with the moving on with the Lakers. That's my Twitter. Moving on with the Lakers. Oh fuck. Tonight. Going on with the Lakers, right? So they have a decision to make. Well, we already know what is gonna happen with LeBron, right? Apparently, they're gonna keep LeBron. Fuck, so sorry. I got a Twitter notification at the same time as I got a Discord notification. I got a Twitter notification at the same time I got a Discord notification, and I just like swapped. I like swapped both sides. Um, uh, Discord. Fuck, 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 fuck. Nothing much has really happened with the Norway and Iraq game since nothing much has really happened since then. Since they started back, it's still 2-1. Going into hydration break right now. This dude Holland just spat and just took a little loogie on his coach. Nasty. Yeah, so the Lakers are looking to keep LeBron, right? I don't know why, but I mean, last ride, right? The last ride. Um, man, what do the Lakers do this offseason? What do they attempt this offseason? Fuck, I don't know how to spell, unfortunately. Fuck, I don't know how to spell, unfortunately. Yeah, so the Lakers have a pretty big decision, right? They have a pretty big decision, right? We're gonna see what ends up happening because they also, good lord, because they also can, because there's a world where they do actually end up keeping Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura. But if that's the world that ends up happening, they're basically going to be running this exact team back. And I think we can all tell you, I think even Lakers fans can tell you, if they run this exact team back again, like picture word for word, bar for bar, if they run this shit exactly the same back, it's not working. It's not, and the world is like where they do run it back. It's LeBron taking it's him taking a pay cut. It's him taking a pay cut. Fortune. Oh, I did spell it right this first. What the fuck? Trey Biddy spelling bee? God bless. I am my. I'm not gonna lie, I cannot, bro. I'm not gonna lie, I cannot be on Discord, and I can't be on Discord and on stream at the same time. Just learned that I can't be on Discord and on stream at the same time. I just learned that my ADHD is too much for that. Or no, not not my ADHD. My CTE is a little bit too much for that. Pause. Anyway, so there is a world where something like that does happen, right? And I do think they're actually going to run that exact team back. I do think that's gonna. I do think that's gonna be the case, unfortunately. And Norway puts a third one on. Norway puts a third one in net. Norway does put a third one in net, and it is 3-1. Norway puts another one in net off of a corner kick. Corner kick header from the Norway defender. 3-1 Norway in the 76th minute. 3-1 Norway in the 76th minute. 76th minute. Fuck. We are like about 20 minutes away from, right? We're like 20 minutes away. Oh, Lord, no, we're not. We're not even close. We're not even close, actually. Oh, I'm actually making pretty good time, actually. Making pretty good time. They don't really have a pick high enough to make an impact on their team, right? They don't really have much of. They're. God, the Discord. Yeah, they don't really have much of a team, right? I guess they can. I guess they can use a forward. I guess they can use another a wing player, right? Another wing player, right? because I don't think necessarily centers are going to be available that deep into the draft, right? And then like, and then so then what? So what happens with the Lakers? They just going to keep drafting centers, right? And hope they work out, right? Because they're going to keep making the playoffs, right? So they're going to keep having these late ass picks to have these centers, right? Gambling with some bullshit out here. Gambling with some bullshit. However, I do see a word. I do see a world where they take Chris Sinak, and that's a home run pick for the Lakers. I do think they take a Chris Sinak, and that's home run for the Lakers, right? Pretty simple offseason for the Lakers, right? Retain everybody and lose, right? And lose out in the playoffs. Seems like what they plan on doing. Seems like that is a franchise plan on what they are doing. Moving on to the Rockets, the Houston Rockets, right? So the Houston Rockets have a very obvious problem with them. That obvious problem for the Houston Rockets is that they need a point guard, right? They need a point guard. They need a point guard. They do not have a first round pick, so there's nothing they can do in the draft, and they need a point guard, right? They have a point guard, right? He's going to be healthy, hopefully next season, right? But what this season taught us, right? What this season taught us, you need a backup. You actually might need a backup. You might need a backup point guard. And for a backup point guard, oh fuck, for a backup point guard, do you sacrifice one of your wings? Do you sacrifice Jabari or Tari? Which one, Tari or Bari? Which one do you sacrifice to get a guard, to get a backup guard, right? What's the sacrifice you didn't make to go get a like a fuck? Holy fuck! Who the fuck would they be able to get as a backup guard? If they can somehow get Deuce, maybe go get Deuce. Maybe go get Deuce McBride because I mean the Knicks have a kind of an overflux of point guards, right? An overflux of guards that can play point guard, right? Which is something that the Rockets lack. They lack guards. They lack point guards and they lack guards that can play point guard. Quite quite disappointing. A little bit disappointing, but yeah, they might need to move on from one of their wings to go get somebody like a Deuce McBride or or maybe enter into the Giannis sweepstakes and try to retain Freddie while also acquiring Andre Jackson. I guess I don't know, but yeah, no picks, right? Directionless, and you need a point guard, right? Backup, starter, doesn't matter. You need a point guard. Going on to the next team, we're talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves, right? So the Timberwolves, right? Timberwolves. I mean, Timberwolves broke their streak of making it to the Western Conference Finals this year. They still have a pretty decent team. Unfortunately, they don't have a great draft pick, right? They don't have a great draft pick, but during the season, we did see them. They were also a player in the Giannis sweepstakes. In the trade deadline, they were a heavy player in the Giannis sweepstakes. Unfortunately, Giannis doesn't really want to go to Minnesota. I mean, rightfully so, right? Who wants to go to Minnesota? But yeah, it does put him in a bit of a predicament. A bit of a predicament. Man, what does Minnesota do? Honestly, what does Minnesota do? Do you sell high on Ayo Dosunmu? Do you sell high on Ayo Dosunmu? Because if you were to trade a Julius Randle, I don't think you would get. I don't know how much value you would be able to get out of a Julius Randle. I feel like they also have a pretty big free agent. Oh hell no, this shit look nasty as fuck. Hell nah. Abortion looking free agency class. Fuck. Um, what am I looking at? What am I looking at? Yeah, okay. So Ayo Dosunmu is the free agency. Isn't free agency. Yeah, Ayo Dosunmu isn't free agency. Um, ooh, I'm not gonna lie. You might need some good luck, Charlie. I'm not gonna lie, buddy. You might need some good luck keeping Ayo Dosunmu. You might need some. They're gonna lose a lot of guys. Actually, the Timberwolves might actually be the team that I was thinking like they might actually be the team that could lose the most players. And yeah, I would assume is a pretty big. That's pretty big for a team like. Yeah, nah, yeah. Because it's not just Iowa that they're losing; they're also losing Slow Mo, who was a big part of their bench unit as well. They're losing Mike Conley, which I mean they knew they're going to lose Mike Conley, right? They're going to lose Bones too, or all these players. I'm saying that they're going to lose, right? They're all players that A were in the bench unit at the very least, and B played a significant role and played a lot of minutes in the playoffs for the Timberwolves. Yeah, no, outside of the Brooklyn Nets, they might be the team that might be losing the most players, right? Oh, Powell's in free agency too. But I mean, Miami can either keep Powell or Wiggs, and I was thinking that they're gonna get rid of Wiggs. I was thinking they're actually gonna get rid of Wiggs, right? Wiggs is a little bit more expendable than Powell, just going off of the defensive prowess, and I'm pretty sure that Powell might be a little bit cheaper than a Andrew Wiggins, especially for what Wig did this year. Yeah, especially what Wig was able to do this year. I do think he might be a little bit more expensive than a Norman Powell. Yeah, so they're losing a lot of guys too. Um, rough, very rough, very rough, very rough. Which was a huge component in what they were trying to give up to get Giannis was all their expirings, because the trade package was centered around I would assume, and it did include Slow Mo as well, and a couple, and it include those two, and then a couple more picks, and then another expiring, I think. Yeah, tough offseason coming up for the Timberwolves. Um, yeah, who knows how good the Timberwolves are going to be. You know what I'm actually thinking about? You know what I'm actually thinking now that I'm looking at this shit? You know what I'm actually thinking? This year we might actually see the shift in power. We might actually see the shift in power. The East is gonna look a whole lot better than the West this coming year. And like how the last the last 2 decades, honestly, the West has just looked a lot better than the Eastern Conference. But we might actually see a little shift in power. Who knows? Who indeed knows? Who indeed knows? Tough offseason coming up for the Timberwolves. Speaking of tough off seasons, though, speaking of very tough off seasons, next up we have the Portland Trailblazers. Now, the Portland Trailblazers' brand new owner is going through a little bit of a humiliation ritual, right? Basically trashing the Portland Trailblazers franchise, right? Making them look like broke boys, right? And in the NBA, right? In the NBA, nobody likes a broke boy, right? Or especially in professional sports, right? In professional sports, nobody likes broke boys, right? Yeah, they lost their head coach, right? Who was a very good coach. Was able to turn chicken salad into or no, was able to turn chicken shit into chicken salad. That's the way the phrase goes. Yeah, he turned a team that was built around Denny Avdia and turned that shit into a playoff team, right? And next year they're gonna get Damian Lillard back, right? Which you would think would be an addition, but unfortunately, it's I mean without Tiago, right? Um, without Tiago, it seems like they kind of got really lucky last year, right? Even though they got a good group of guys, right? Like Tumani Kamara, right? Um, I love Tumani Kamara's game, right? Donovan Cleveland has a has put up a pretty good season. Unfortunately, he did miss some time also during the season, but he looks pretty good. He looks very promising as well. Still got Drew Holiday also. I mean, it's a decent. Still have Shaden Sharp, right? I mean, it's a decent team. It is a decent team. It's just unfortunately, I don't know how I don't know how much more that they can be able to do with what they have. I don't know how much more that they can. Yeah, I don't know how much more that they can do than what they already have done. Tough, tough, tough. Very, very tough for the Sixers, right? Very tough for the 76ers. For the Phoenix Suns, not the 76ers, for the Phoenix Suns. Anyway, next team coming up is the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, the Los Angeles Clippers have one of the more complicated off seasons coming up because we don't know what the fuck is going to happen with the Clippers, right? We don't know what's going to happen with the Clippers, right? We don't know what's going to happen with Kawhi, right? He's going through a little bit of a, little situation, right? He's going through a little bit of a situation. Kawhi Leonard is. However, besides Kawhi Leonard, though, you have Darius Garland now, a young point guard that you can build off of. Bradley Beal is finally going into free agency, so I mean, good riddance. There you go. You finally get out of that contract, and then you also still have a few young pieces like Benedict Mathurin that you can build off of, and you also have like Derek Favors. There's some good players on this team, and to go along with the good players that you have, you also have a top 5 pick. You have a top 5 pick. Thanks to your Ivica Zubac trade, you have a top 5 pick. Pretty comp. As a matter of fact, pretty comp. Now, what do the Clippers do? Now, what do the Clippers do with their top 5 pick, with having a with the only with one of the only 2 positions that's actually filled being point guard, right? What do they do with their top 5 pick, right? You trade down. That's what you do. You trade down, right? You trade down, right? In my opinion, I don't know why more teams aren't trying to call the Clippers for their picks, right? People are trying to get into the top 3, right? You're not going to get to the top 3, right? Teams should be calling the Clippers, right? Teams should be calling the Clippers because we know what the top 4 looks like. We know what the top 4 looks like, right? From 5 to 9, we have some top-notch guards, right? Some top-notch guards. And if you're not going to select like Keaton Wagler with that 5th pick, right, which I don't think you really should, if you're not selecting Wagler with that 5th pick, trade it. Trade down. Get some ass picks. Get some assets, bro. God, fuck. Get some assets, bro. Get some fucking assets, right? You can trade down with the Mavericks, right? At 9. Right? You trade down with the Mavericks at 9, right? That's not more or less what what would be ideal. What would be ideal is if they can trade to like a very early, to right outside the top 10. If they can trade down to right outside the top 10, that would be the absolute sweet spot for the Clippers, because then they can get like a Demara, right? A Demara, which would be a pretty good Ivica Zubac replacement, right? They can get him, right? They can get Yaks. I don't know what they would be able to do with Yaks, right? But I mean, they can get Yaks. Yeah, the Clippers are in a pretty awkward. They're in a weird position with the top 5 pick and having Darius Garland in this draft, right? They're in a weird position. Interested what they end up doing, but I mean, top 5 pick, trade it down. If you could trade it down like just a little bit and select Wagler, that would be ideal. But trade it down. Just trade it down. I think Wagler would play very nicely off of Darius Garland. I do think that would be a nice little backcourt duo, right? But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Next up, we have the Golden State Warriors. Now, the Golden State Warriors. Yeah, so Golden State, right? Golden State. They have they have bird rights on. A fourth goal is scored for Norway at the very last minute of extra time. A fourth goal is scored for Norway. Norway is looking to complete this game 4-1. Norway is looking to complete this game 4-1. Scoring at the 96th minute. Erling Haaland with the brace. Haaland actually gets an assist for this too, actually. Oh, it might be an own goal. Or who gets that goal, honestly? Who gets that goal? Assist or not? We'll see. Yeah, so Golden State has a pretty simple offseason, right? They don't really have much to do, right? They don't really have free agencies to retain, right? They have Kristaps, right? But they have bird rights though, so I mean, they can keep him if they want. They can't keep him if they want, but I do think they might actually just let Kristaps walk. I have a feeling they might let Kristaps walk. Why? Because for the draft, What was the pick? They're right outside the top 10. They are 11th, right? They are 11, right? Again, point guard heavy draft. They have Curry, right? Another awkward position, just like the Clippers, right? Point guard draft. They have Curry. So who do they get, right? I mean, one of these teams are gonna have to get Mara, right? Mara fits in with a lot of these teams because a lot of these teams have already a point guard. Yeah, I could see Mara going there. I could see Mara getting picked. I could see um a Michigan guy. I could see a Michigan guy, right? I could see a Michigan guy, maybe even Cam Carr. Maybe even Cam Carr can get selected, right? I feel like a two guard makes sense, right? I feel like a two guard makes sense. I don't know how happy they feel about Bennett Sturts taking a Klay Thompson role, right? I don't know how they think of that, right? But in my opinion, I do think Ademara might fit the mold of what they're trying to do now. Even though they have Quinton Post currently, as their starting center, I do think Ademara is at least very, very comparable with this guy. I said Dave Mara is very, very comparable with Quinton Post. Yeah, they don't really have a whole lot of free agencies. They're kind of in a weird position, the Warriors, right? Because they're not a good team. They're not gonna make the playoffs, right? That's what it. They're not. They're probably not gonna make the playoffs next year. They're probably not making the playoffs. Or if they do, they're gonna make it from the play-in, like they try to do this year. Yeah, yeah. I mean, they could do a Jimmy Butler trade. Ultimately, they could do a Jimmy Butler trade. They're gonna have to probably get rid of either Jimmy or Draymond soon, right? Soon they're gonna probably get rid of one of them. I think they can already, but I think they can already get rid of him already, but I would wait till the regular season so you can build up their trade value a little bit more. But we'll see, right? Well, like I like the gamble. I like taking the gamble of waiting until the regular season. But yeah, ultimately we'll see what happens with the Golden State Warriors. Yeah, let's That brings us to the last 10 teams, right? Brings us to the last 10 teams. Which one of these shitters are we going to start with? Or you know what? Let's start with the Pacers, right? Let's start with the Pacers because they had a pretty easy offseason, right? Don't do shit, right? Yeah, don't do shit, right? You've already pretty much done your damage, right? Oh, you made the trade, right? You made that trade to get Zubac, right? Even though you unfortunately you had to give up Benedict Mathurin, right? Which you gave up in Benedict Mathurin, you made up for it in getting a center, a real center, right? I know Jay Huff was getting some quality minutes this year, right? He looked very good. He looked too good to the point where they needed to bench his ass to tank. But good. Well, hold on. I'm not even. Okay. You can't see my spit cup. All right. Perfect. Yeah, the Pacers have a pretty simple offseason. They have a very simple offseason. Just wait, and see what happens in the next regular season, right? They're going to be a playoff team next year, right? If everybody's healthy, they're going to be a playoff team next year. So yeah, we'll see how the Pacers look. They don't need to do anything, right? I think their team is perfectly fine going into next year because next year they will finally be healthy, right? And when I see they will finally be healthy, Hallie will finally be healthy. Halliburton will finally be healthy, right? Next, who can we talk about? We'll talk about the Brooklyn Nets, right? Because the Brooklyn Nets, another easy team to talk about, right? Because they're in basketball hell. right? They're in basketball hell right now. Well, um, we'll talk about the other team who's in basketball hell next up. But yeah, they're currently in basketball hell, right? They have they're planning they're planning on signing a big free agent this offseason, right? A big free agent, right? It's pretty at this point it's kind of well known who this guy is and how much money they're going to offer this guy, right? But for some reason, but yeah, for some reason, the Brooklyn Nets are gonna unload the Brinks truck for Austin Reeves. They're gonna unload the Brinks truck for Austin Reeves, which is gonna suck. It's gonna absolutely suck for the Lakers, right? Because if they really do offer that contract that they're gonna offer to Austin Reeves, and they're looking to retain Rui Hachimura, they're not gonna do that. They're It's not gonna happen, right? It's not gonna happen. So I mean, if they sign Austin Reeves, right, what did that put them? It puts him. Oh man, they're 20 wins, right? If they sign Austin Reeves, might put him about 28, 28, 27 wins, right? Yeah, 28, 27 wins with Austin Reeves, and well, they're losing a lot of players too in the free agency, right? We talked about it when we were talking about it. The Timberwolves, right? That the Nets are the Nets, other than the Timberwolves, are probably the team with the most free agency players going into this off season. So yeah, ultimately we'll see what happens with who the who the Nets choose to retain, who they choose to let walk, and if they actually do make that signing of Austin Reeves, right? It's a pretty big signing, right? Giving all that money to a player like Austin Reeves, right? That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. That's a pretty. It's a decision. It's a decision. So I'm not saying it's a good decision or a bad decision, but yeah, it's definitely a decision, right? It's definitely is a decision. Definitely is one. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of fed my boy already. I got my boy about to eat up. I'm about to wake his little fat ass up. Hey, fat Eddie. Hold up. Hold on. I got a nasty ass DM. That's I got a nasty ass DM. Um, I got a nasty ass DM. It was a voice note. I had to listen to it. I just had to. I had to listen to it. I had to listen. Honestly, honestly, after listening to that voice note, yeah, I might need to call it. I might need to call it soon. So I might need to wrap this shit up real quick, right? I wanted to get into some MMA news, but nature's calling. Nature's calling, folks. Nature's calling, folks. Nature's calling, folks. Is all I'm gonna say. Is all I'm gonna say. Yeah. Brooklyn directionless. What draft pick? Oh, they have the 7th pick. Yeah, go get a guard. Go get a guard. I don't give a fuck who you get. Go get a guard. One of them is gonna be fine for them. Flemings. They might actually just end up with A cuff, right? They end up with A cuff. That if they end up with A cuff, they have MPJ, and then they end up signing Austin Reeves, right? Ooh, hold on now. Brooklyn might be onto some bullshit, but yeah, I highly doubt that will end up happening. Oh, but I mean, they don't end up getting A cup. They might still end up getting like Kingston Flemings or some shit, right? But it's whether or not they sign Austin Reeves, right? Austin Reeves, a point guard in the draft, right? And then MPJ, right? Hold on now. It's a whole lot of booty you got back there. But yeah, that's ultimately what's gonna be the offseason for the Brooklyn Nets. And then right, we said speaking of directionless, let's talk about the Sacramento Kings, right? The Sacramento Kings absolutely got fucked in the ass in the draft lottery. They got fucked in this draft lottery. 7th pick, right? Oh, that shit stunk, right? 7th pick. I don't even think like they're gonna take a guard, right? They're gonna take one of the guards, right? Whatever guard that ends up going to Sacktown, rest in peace to the first 3 to 4 years of your career. Yeah, not a good sign. Not a good sign for any of those teams who are looking to get a opportunity to go to, or the what's the opposite of opportunity, right? Basically, it seems like you lost the race if you lost the draft, right? If you get selected to Sacramento, right? You might as well just go back to college. You might as well just go back to college if you get picked by Sac. Sac, right? Oh shit, man, Sac. They need to trade everybody. They need to trade everybody ASAP, right? Yeah. I wish it was that easy, right? I wish it was that easy. Like, oh yeah, just trade everybody, right? Unfortunately, it's not. It's a lot of that's a lot of bad contracts, right? It's a lot of bad contracts you got, Sonny Bun. All right, if they're gonna trade one of these guys, like DeRozan, Sabonis, Levine, right? If they're gonna trade one of these guys, the Brody, right? They're gonna most likely need to attach this pick. It would just make more sense for them to attach this pick alongside. Yeah, it just makes sense for them to attach this pick alongside. But if they do end up picking, then I mean, shit. What do you do, right? What do you do? They got a nice little rookie center this past year, but other than that, right? You have like 4 disgusting contracts on your team, right? Yeah, not a good look, right? And you have like players like Malik Monk still. Yeah, yeah, Yeah. Good luck. Yeah, good luck to Sacktown, right? Absolutely directionless. Speaking of another team that is directionless, right? It is the Milwaukee Bucks, right? The Milwaukee Bucks, right? The Milwaukee Bucks. They have Giannis, right? They have Giannis. Unfortunately, that might seem like the end of his time with Milwaukee, right? And even if he stays with Milwaukee, right? Even if he does stay with Milwaukee, right? What do you do? What the fuck do you do, right? What the fuck do you do? You have the 10th pick, right? The 10th pick kind of puts you in a weird position, right? It puts you in a very weird position because in that 10th pick, what do you do, right? You do one of two things, right? If you're able to trade Giannis, take Yaxel. That would actually be the ideal situation. If you trade Giannis, you take Yaxel. You take Yaxel if you trade Giannis. If you don't trade Giannis and you think he's gonna stick around, right? I don't know why he would, but if you think he sticks around, then yeah, go get Phylon. Go get Phylon. Go get Phylon, buddy. Go get Phylon. Phylon would be a pretty good fit. Phylon would be a pretty good fit for Giannis, right? A very nice pick and it would be a nice pick and roll duo, right? A nice pick and roll duo, right? LeBaron's very good at driving, right? And if he's very good at driving, right? If he's good at that shit, and you have a lob threat like Giannis rolling, that's nasty. That's nasty. That is nasty. Phylon and Giannis. What are we kidding? What are we talking about, bro? Phylon and Giannis together. That sounds like a nasty duo, right? I'm gonna need. I told you. I'm gonna need to speed this shit up. Closing out of, well, actually not closing out of. We need to talk about the Bulls real quick, right? Actually, you know what? Fuck talking about the Bulls, right? If you need to hear about the Bulls, right? If you need to hear about what the Bulls need to do this offseason, right? Go watch KOT4Q, right? If you need to know what the Bulls are doing this offseason, go watch KOT4Q, right? Or go watch NBC. Go watch NBC, right? Right. Turn on NBC, right? Go see what the Bulls need to do this offseason, right? I mean, it's a pretty simple offseason for the Bulls. Like, it's not that crazy, right? They mainly just need to focus on the draft, right? They just need to focus on what's going on in the draft. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty simple. Pretty simple, right? They don't need to necessarily retain. They don't have anybody they need to retain going into this offseason, right? So, I mean, I think they already signed Patrick Williams to a pretty decent contract, right? So, I mean, nothing more that they need to do, right? And if they do, go watch KOT4Q. Go watch his channel, right? Going to Washington, and then we'll briefly touch on Washington. Because I mean their offseason, the offseason for the Washington Wizards was basically the trade deadline, right? It was basically the trade deadline, right? The offseason is pretty much irrelevant at this point. It's pretty much go make your number one pick, right? And boy, that number one pick. That number one pick. Has there been some bullshit going on with that number one pick, or what would potentially be that number one pick, right? Because we're seeing a whole lot of, right, DP Darren Peterson allegedly doesn't want to go to Utah, right? He only wants to get picked number one or go to Memphis, right? Fucker thinks he has options, right? He thinks he has options, right? You don't have options, but I mean, people. Oh Lord. Oh lordy, oh lordy. I'm not going to look at. I'm not even going to tell you what's on my screen right now. Um, and just know, watch. I'll be watching Fox's broadcast. Watch that Telemundo. Watch that Telemundo, fellas. Watch that Telemundo, fellas. Yeah, pretty simple offseason for Washington Wizards, right? Figure out which diva you want on your team, right? Figure out which diva you want on your team. Shit, if you take Boozer, bro, imagine Washington takes Boozer, just shits on everybody, right? Or they take the monster. They take the monster instead. They take the monster instead. Like that'd be kind of wild, right? But yeah, I kind of think Washington's stuck between either DP or Boozer, right? But yeah, I mean, ultimately they just gotta see what they pick and they pick up in the draft and move on, right? Their offseason was pretty much done in the trade deadline. Speaking of another team whose offseason was done in the trade deadline, it was the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz have the number 2 pick. Fitting that the number 1 and the number 2 pick kind of did their entire offseason in the trade deadline, right? They were able to tank, right, and comfortably tank and get the number 1 and number 2 pick respectfully. And yeah, I mean, offseason already happened for them. They just need to make their number 2 pick, which I've never seen a more obvious number 2 pick in my life, right? DeBonsta. Go get yourselves AJ DeBonsta, right? Go get yourself AJ DeBonsta. Home run hit right there. Home run hit. Easy offseason for Utah, right? You already did what you needed to do in the trade deadline. Go get AJ DeBonsta. Go suck again for another year. Go suck again for another year, right? And then the following year is y'all's year, right? But yeah, unfortunately, they might have to end up sucking for one more year before Utah is actually able to do something with what their current group is. But yeah, we'll see. Because maybe they won't suck next year. Maybe they won't suck. Maybe they'll make a play in, right? Um, but even the draft in the next coming years favors teams that are making the play in, right? It is what it is, right? It is what it is. Going up the draft, we have the Memphis Grizzlies. Only 3 more teams to go over, and then I'm going to be out of here. 3 more teams to go over. We have the Memphis Grizzlies, right? Memphis Grizzlies have the number 3 pick, right? I'm thinking that they're gonna end up getting Cam Boozer. I'm thinking they're gonna end up getting Cam Boozer, and um, yeah, they're not gonna be good. They're not gonna be good next year. They're not gonna be good next year. You get Cam Boozer rights. Um, they're a team that's 2 to 3 years away, right? They're a team that's 2 to 3 years, and the final 3 teams I'm going over, they might be a year or two. I mean, 2 to 3 years away, right? The last team I go over might be ready next year, right? But I mean, we'll get into that, right? We'll get into them in a second, right? But I mean, I just spoiled one of them, but yeah, I do think Memphis, these boys right here, and the Pelicans are at the very least 2 to 3 years away. They might be ready next year, but in the long run, 2 to 3 years is when their timeline is going to be is when their timelines are going to be looking good. The question is, are they going to keep Ja? Are they going to keep Ja? Right? Is the coaching staff and Ja going to end up getting along? Right? Because we have been seeing a couple of issues, couple of problems on both sides. That and the issues being the misuse of John Morant as your number one guy, your number one option, right? They are misusing him a little bit. And yeah, I mean a pretty decent core of players, right? They got Spencer, right? They got Spencer. They have Gigi Jackson. They have Gigi Jackson. They have Zach Edey, right? Zach Edey, very good player, right? Ultimately, he does need to end up playing more. And yeah, I think Cam Boozer just fits in perfectly with what Memphis is trying to do. So yeah, Memphis has a very simple offseason ahead of them, right? Not too many free agencies. Also, free agents for them as well, right? They have KCP as a free agent, but I mean he could walk. He could walk. He could walk. He could walk, and he could walk pretty comfortably if you are the Memphis Grizzlies because he's not a part of your core going forward. Anyway, very simple offseason for the Grizzlies. Going forward, we have the New Orleans Pelicans, right? Second to last team going over the New Orleans Pelicans, right? The Pelicans. I haven't really heard much about Pelicans in the draft. Do they even have a pick? No, they don't. No, they don't, Sonny Bun. Damn, Memphis is. I mean, what the fuck? The Pelicans are trash and they don't have a pick. Damn, damn, that's tough. That's tough. So the Pelicans might actually be the worst team in the league next year. Okay, all right, nice and well, it depends on what happened. It depends on what happens and how much Freaky Z is able to play, right? Bro, bro, that might be that has to be the best nickname. That has to be the. It's up there with Oak Cliff Coop. It's up there with Oak Cliff Coop. It's between him and Freaky Z, bro. Freaky Z is a fucking killer ass name. That's a fucking that's a nickname right there, Freaky Z. Yeah, so Freaky Z, um, Freaky Z, pretty good group of guys actually. Freaky Z, um, I just like saying Freaky Z. Freaky Z, Jeremiah Fears, he looked pretty decent this past year, right? We don't know if it was just him taking advantage of a pretty shitty team, right? But I mean, he had a pretty decent season this past year, and as well as Derek Queen, right? Derek Queen, pretty good rookie. The problem with the Pelicans going forward, right? Because this past season we did see Eves Missy miss a lot of time for the Pelicans, right? He did miss a lot of time for the Pelicans, so we saw a huge issue in the. Or there's two issues, right? Um, the Pelicans really need a center, right? They really need a center, or they really need Eves Missy to be healthy, right? One of those two, right? But in the starting group, right? Because Eves Missy is a starter. He is a starter caliber center in the league, right? He's a pretty good center, but he just missed a lot of time this past season. They need a wing. They need another wing guy. They need another wing player alongside Freaky Z and Derek Queen. They need another wing guy. And unfortunately for the Pelicans, this draft had a lot of wing players, right? A lot of wing players or a lot of guys that you could either just give the reins to, give the point guard reins to, and maybe you can just let Jeremiah Fears run the second unit, right? Jeremiah Fears as a backup point guard, fucking money, bro. Fucking money as a backup point guard. Won't get much of a better backup point guard than Jeremiah Fears in this league. Yeah, if they're able to get like a two guard, if they're able to like somehow acquire a two guard, right? A wing, right? A wing or say, right? It would be pretty ideal for the Pelicans going forward, right? No picks in the draft, absolute abortion of a franchise right now. Yeah, absolute horrid moves from the Pelicans, right? No free agents whatsoever because I mean, not really a whole lot of moves coming in and out of the Pelicans also. Yeah, the Pelicans just might suck for the next like decade, honestly. Fuck that. No, fuck that 2 to 3 years shit. No, they might just suck for the next decade, to be honest. They might just suck for the next decade. But who knows? Who knows? Who knows though? Who knows? And finally, that comes to Big Bad Daddy Dallas Mavericks. The Big Bad Daddy Dallas Mavericks. Dallas Mavericks, right? The Dallas Mavericks, right? So the Dallas Mavericks have a pretty simple offseason, right? Pretty simple offseason, right? We got the ninth pick, right? We got the ninth pick. Not a whole lot of free agents, not a whole lot of free agents that we're really like going to lose, right? Right, like we're probably gonna lose like we're probably gonna end up losing. What's his face? We're probably gonna end up losing Chris Middleton, right? But I mean, unfortunately, Chris Middleton was too good for us this past season. So I mean, and he's making a shitload of money, right? So yeah, like that's another huge question mark on whether we bring Chris Middleton or not, right? Like whether or not we do draft a guard, right? I mean, we're asking a Mavericks fan preference, right? My preference would be to draft Mikal Brown. I love what Mikal Brown was. I'll respond to Discord after stream. I'm almost done. I'm almost done with stream. Sorry, done with stream. Oh shit! I got another Twitter DM. Oh Lord, I got another voice note. Yeah. Oh Lord. Yeah, I'm getting called out. All right. Yeah, boss calling. So I need to wrap up my Mavericks talk. Right. Pretty simple offseason, right? Not a whole lot of people we got to lose, right? We got to make a decision on whether or not we want to keep Chris Middleton, right? But at the same time, are people going to offer Chris Middleton? Like, at most, it's going to be a mid-level exception, right? And even if he does accept a mid-level conception, fucking KC if he damn, I need to get out. If he accepts a mid-level exception, it's still a pay cut. It's still a slight pay cut. I wouldn't mind him, honestly. But at the same time, if we are not performing like what we think we're performing, because we're going to be getting Kyrie Irving back this year. We're going to be getting Kyrie Irving back this year, right? The plan was always for this to be the year, right? Unfortunately, we trade Anthony Davis, so the plans for that kind of like got axed. But with a decent draft pick, like if we're able to get a Mikal Brown, right? We could be in business. We could be in a little bit of business, right? And just could be in a little bit of business, just a little bit of business. Another thing that doesn't sound too bad is the idea of trading back. The idea of trading back isn't all that bad, but however, the Mavericks have been trying to move forward, right, to try to pick up a Darius Acuff, right? If we pick up a Darius Acuff, fucking like off season of the century, we're able to pick up Darius Acuff and pair him up with Cooper Flag. Fucking nasty. But I'd be perfectly content with a Mikal Brown. We need to make a decision on Chris Middleton. And honestly, I mean, just off of those two alone, I feel like we can be players. I feel like we can be some players in this Western Conference next year, especially now that we're looking at the Western Conference as a landscape and looking at it and realizing that we're going to see a drop off in the West. We're going to see a drop off in the West, and we're going to see a shift in power where the Eastern Conference is going to start looking a little bit better than the West, right? The West is still going to be top heavy with the Spurs and the Thunder, right? But past that, the West was always known to be like fucking 6 teams deep. Like, oh shit, like any one of them can make the fucking finals, right? But I think at this point, it's just going to be a top heavy group, and we're going to see teams like the Nuggets start trending lower, right? Maybe the Rockets pick it up this year, right? Maybe the Lakers. I'm thinking the Lakers are going to stay kind of the same, right? But yeah, but maybe like teams like the Mavericks move forward, right? Maybe teams like the Suns move forward, right? I don't think I talked about Suns actually. I really don't think I talked about the Suns. I think I just skipped from Portland to. That's funny. That's funny. I mean, at this point, fuck the Suns, right? See that? See that right there? See right there? Fuck that guy, bro. Anyway, oh no, I don't think I can flip the bird on. I don't think I can flip the bird on camera. All right, okay. Well, damn. Broke down pretty much almost everybody. Broke down pretty much almost everybody's situation, right? Broke down what they should do this offseason, right? Break down what they should do in the draft, right? What moves that they should make, right? What trades that some of these teams should be making or should be looking to make in the offseason, right? Yeah, whenever all that, right? Whenever all that, and yeah, covered some World Cup, right? We'll probably cover a little bit more World Cup tomorrow, right? We will be going live tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm thinking it's going to be a late night stream. Tomorrow, I do think it's going to be a late night stream. A late night stream. However, it's going to be a decent length, and yeah, we will probably not be going live on Thursday. Well, not going to be. Or actually, no, not probably. We won't. We won't be going live on Thursday, actually. But tomorrow we will be going live kind of late. If I go live earlier, I mean, I'll create the stream, right? But yeah, I'll spark it up if we go live earlier. But I do think we're going to stream tomorrow, and we'll skip out on Thursday, and then Friday is going to be the big USA stream for the week. That's all I'm gonna be talking about for today, right? Decent 2 hour and 25-minute stream, right? Decent length of a stream, right? That's gonna be all it for today, right? I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow. Oak Cliff Coop in this motherfucker, right? Mavericks making the playoffs next year, right? And yeah, that's gonna be it, right? That's gonna be it. And yeah. Pledge allegiance to the flag.